Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Now in Thursday Night Football, the Steelers are taking on the Cleveland Browns at 8:15. And also, we got to send a happy birthday to Michael Strahan. Today is Michael Strahan's birthday. So drop a bomb for Michael Strahan. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, Envy, Charlamagne, and Jess. Y'all feeling all right?
Yes.
We are. Good. Okay, so let's jump into it, okay? President-elect Trump is cheering the life sentence of Venezuelan migrant who was convicted of killing a Georgia nursing student. Now, Trump posted on Truth Social on Wednesday, "Justice for Laken Riley," in all caps. Now, the illegal immigrant convicted of killing the Georgia nursing student, Laken Riley, he was sentenced to life without parole. 26-year-old Jose Ibarra was found guilty on all 10 counts by the judge who handed down the verdict after Ibarra waived his right to a jury trial. Now, the prosecution said Ibarra went hunting for women on the University of Georgia's campus and encountered Riley on her morning run in February. The case, of course, drew national attention and was the focus of the presidential election. And part of the reason, if not the reason, why the forthcoming Trump administration is calling for these mass deportations. Ibarra crossed the border illegally in 2022 and was released by border officials while his immigration case was awaiting review. Let's hear from Judge Patrick Haggard announcing the sentence, and we'll also hear from Laken's sister, father, and best friend on the impact this tragedy has had on them. Let's hear that audio.
With that, Mr. Ibarra, if you'll please stand. Count one, malice murder. I sentence you to life without the possibility of parole.
Jose Antonio Ibarra has completely and utterly ruined my life, and I can only hope and pray that he receives a sentence that ruins his.
The pain I feel is unexplainable. Every day I am reminded that my daughter is gone. I will never hear her laugh again, never see her smile, never hold her hand or feel her hug.
I've been impacted by this brutal, cowardice, and preventable tragedy in every way, shape, and form. I no longer have a best friend that I relay every thought or worry to. I no longer run every day.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
So damn sad.
Very sad, but just on a positive note that that family has had some justice in regards to that case. Now, moving on, elsewhere in news, a report on sexual allegations involving Mack Gaetz will not be released, at least not for now, and not legally. President-elect Trump's nominee for the head of the Department of Justice, Florida Congressman Mack Gaetz, has faced allegations on sexual misconduct, including alleging having sex with a 17-year-old girl. Now, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle called for the report of the Florida congressman to be released. House Speaker Mike Johnson had urged the Ethics Committee to keep the report under wraps since Gaetz has already resigned from Congress. Now, a hacker has reportedly already gained access to those documents in an investigation.
Of course.
So a file reportedly included sealed documents from the House Ethics Committee and Justice Department, according to the New York Times. Internet cybersecurity expert Alan Crockett says it sounds like an inside job, and the information will likely be leaked and shared by a reporter. Hey, colleagues, let's hear more from Internet cybersecurity expert Alan Crockett.
So in this case, it does sound a lot like somebody internally is trying to damage somebody and send something out. If you remember, the biggest leak that we had with the government, was Snowden, and that was an internal person who sent stuff out. You didn't hack it, so you're not a part of the crime. Now, I'm not a lawyer. There might be something like you are complicit after the fact in hacking, but as far as I know, there's nothing technically illegal about getting something that somebody else hacked.
Yep. Well, there you have it. And of course, yesterday, the Republicans in the House Ethics Panel, they did vote to make those findings not public. So, of course, those documents will remain sealed, at least on a congressional level. But, the people know how to get what they want.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I'm like, do we have time for one more?
No, it is 6:10.
All right, well, let's get into it. At 7 o'clock, we will talk more about what's happening with DEI. Yeah, things in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. Getting a little sticky, so we'll talk more about that at 7 a.m.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Now on Thursday Night Football, the Steelers take on the Cleveland Browns at 8:15. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning. Envy, Charlamagne, and Jess. Y'all all right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's get into it. The clapback congressional queen is going viral once again. During a Dismantle DEI Act hearing, Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett defended DEI, which stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and she spoke passionately about the definition of oppression after Representative Michael Cloud, a Republican out of Texas also, proposed to eliminate federal DEI programs. Let's hear those comments from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett.
Oppression is the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. That is the definition of oppression. And so as I sit here as a Black woman who practiced civil rights, let me tell you the reason that my colleagues wanted to make sure you understood the same Black history that your side of the aisle wants to delete out of classrooms is because you can then misuse words like oppression. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you are going to go and work. We are going to steal your wives. We are going to rape your wives. That didn't happen. That is oppression.
She's not lying.
Right.
I love Jasmine Crockett. She's not lying.
Too, y'all. Yeah.
Yeah, so she went on to say it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us people of color on this side of the aisle that y'all are the ones being oppressed, that y'all are the ones being harmed. She said that is not the definition of oppression. Of course, when asking that question earlier in the segment where she was saying, you tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes, Representative James Comer, a Republican out of Kentucky, interjected and said, you can start with Exodus. And he was referring to the biblical book in which that describes how Jewish people fled slavery in Egypt. Now, the Congresswoman did not acknowledge that remark. But yeah, it's getting real sticky as, one side of the aisle is fighting against the efforts of the other side of the aisle as we have this new forthcoming administration. So
she said it perfectly. I mean, what she said was, if you look at it, she says white men comprise 30% of the country's population, but hold over 60% of elected offices.
Yes.
Like, let's be honest. Like, how unfair could we be,
Hence why there is efforts for diversity, equity, inclusion, right?
Correct.
So the fact that they're trying to reverse those things, it speaks to her point. Speaking of what's elsewhere in Texas, the family of a Dallas man who was shot and killed by a police officer has been awarded a $100 million civil judgment. Former officer Amber Geiger was not in court for the lawsuit, even though she was named as a defendant. She is currently serving a 10-year prison sentence for the 2018 shooting. Geiger entered the wrong apartment and shot Botham Jean, thinking he was an intruder. His relatives, while he was actually in his apartment, his relatives will likely not see a dime of that, but their attorney says that it sends a message to other cops to, make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I hate that. I really hate that. You go through the lawsuits and you do get that $100 million. I think it was like $98 million and $99 million, $100 million, whatever it is. 98. But the family won't get a dime of that. Which is sad. And not to say that money's going to bring back a life, but Jesus.
Yeah, it's something though. I mean, damn.
It could certainly ease the quality, I guess. I'm not sure.
And why they say they won't get a dime of it? Because they sued her and she has no money?
Yeah, well, there's that too,
So where is it going exactly?
She's in, it's a judgment right now, so it's just on the books. It's just, but she's currently in jail. So, how do you get that restitution off if you're currently serving?
But when she does come out, because she's serving 10 years, I think she did like 2 already. So when she does come out and she gets to work, they should be able to take some of her money, right? Until she
Absolutely.
passes? Okay.
Absolutely. And look, ain't that the way they do with us?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of other news in Texas, Texas Republicans want the 10 Commandments to be posted in every public school classroom. The bill filed recently faces opposition from civil rights group. Imelda Mejia with the Texas Freedom Network says that public schools teach kids of all faith and some who are not religious, and this also violates the separation of church and state. Let's hear from Imelda Mejia with the Texas Freedom Network.
It's deeply concerning to see that there is an influx of attempts to insert religion into our public schools yet once again. The 10 Commandments are better fit for Sunday schools than they are in Texas public schools. Our neighborhood public schools serve students from all faiths and no faith, and we should really be leaving the idea of religious education to families.
Now, of course, this comes as neighboring Louisiana saw a similar law blocked last week by a federal judge who called it unconstitutional. In Louisiana, Republicans want to also post the Ten Commandments in public school classrooms. Last week, a federal judge blocked the legislation, saying it was unconstitutional. The state appealed, but lost again. This time, it was a federal appeals court that shot down the law. Civil rights groups who filed the suit on behalf of parents argue the law is asking to a state to sponsor religion. What do you guys think about that? I mean, we've talked about this before. It's not the worst set of rules to have posted, but there is a separation of state.
Yeah, I always thought that, the one thing about public school is they didn't base it off of religion. So it was kind of religious free. But I think, even though the Ten Commandments, I think it's a great, thing to live by. I just think it's kind of weird because I thought the whole idea of public schools were not to be based off any religion. That's what I thought. I could be wrong.
Right. The separation. No, you're right. The separation of church and state. And bringing things home to New York. New York is getting a new police commissioner. Mayor Eric Adams says Department of Sanitation Commissioner Jessica Tisch will take the helm of the NYPD starting on Monday, making her the second woman to lead the NYPD. Now, Tisch spent 12 years with the NYPD, with Mayor Adams calling her a battle-tested leader who implemented several technological developments for the NYPD, including the city's first text to 911 capability. She also managed the implementation of police body-worn program. Let's hear more from Mayor Eric Adams and Jessica Tisch on their forthcoming as she gets ready to start as the new police commissioner.
Commissioner Tisch does not have to be in city government. She's here because of the love of the city, coming from a family that has been committed and dedicated to the betterment of New York City and using her experience and expertise to take us to the next level.
In my dozen years at the department, I had the opportunity to work with some of the most extraordinary public servants, people who run toward the danger when everyone else runs away. It is now my privilege to lead you, and I'm looking forward to coming home.
Yep, Tisch called the appointment an extraordinary responsibility, vowing that she will always honor the work of cops, the work cops do on the streets. So, New York, you've got a new police commissioner. There you have it. That's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow me on social at Morgan Media, MorganMedia. And for more news coverage, follow us at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit BINnews.com.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.